Joanna, I don't blame Apple for taking 30% of podcast subscription revenue in the first year, but I'm not sure I would trust them to provide more than a storefront here. They have ruled the roost in podcasts pretty much since they became a thing, and they've largely ignored it, failed to innovate, promised we're going to give all these tools to podcasters, and I think largely it's been weak. Would you trust them to innovate here now?
I mean, I wouldn't say this is much of an innovation. I agree with you here, right? It's subscriptions, giving creators of podcasts the opportunity to charge for their podcast rather than rely on ad revenue. What this really is the heating up again of the war between Apple and Spotify. Spotify has been dominating in podcasts. They've acquired some companies in the podcast area. They are innovating in product in podcasts. That's not what Apple's been doing, right? It's sort of like you said, the podcast app is sort of languishing. It's kind of one of the worst podcast apps you can have on the iPhone.
Right. And Joanna, look at Spotify's strategy here. They've been paying big money for talent, names like Joe Rogan, and a lot of them have been coming off of the Apple podcast platform. Do you think that we're about to see Apple start to spend more on this kind of talent? Would they be spending on certain studios or platforms? What do you think?
It wouldn't surprise me. I think also looking at the Apple TV Plus strategy is actually a smart thing to do here as well. The focus on high quality versus quantity. I mean, it's different, of course, because Apple is a major podcast distribution platform, but I could see them going that route as well.
Joanna, they've always, in their announcements have done animations of the inside of the hardware, but I don't know if I've ever seen them play up the M1 quite like they have about the insides in prior rollouts. I just wonder, are consumers being conditioned now to go into a store and say, I want the M1 thing?
I mean, I was fascinated about how much time and how much drama and showmanship there was around the M1 yesterday. I mean, Tim Cook pulled off a mask. There was this whole interlude. I don't know if you guys have footage of this. There's an interlude where Tim Cook is an imposter and he's stealing the M1 chip from the Macs and putting it inside the iPads. And it was clever, but it's a lot of attention on the M1, which really signals how important it is to Apple that they are controlling the entire hardware, software, services stack. I mean, they made a lot of interesting points yesterday around how this all works well together. Even if you look at the products that were not M1 based, you saw the AirTags and the Apple TV all relying on other Apple products, right? Relying on the iPhone. So this is all part of the ecosystem